Hey everybody, Andy Waddell with Flom Films, and thanks for joining me on Grade in 10. So today, in about 10 minutes, we're going to go from raw to render on a magical frame featuring world-famous magician Justin Flom. Let's go. All right, here is the image. This is a really fun little production we did for a client. Justin, his brother, and their production team out in Vegas shot everything. We did all the post. It was originally cut for just web distribution, and then later it was distributed on broadcast streaming television by our good friends at mountain.com. So shout out to Ryan Reynolds for personally distributing this ad across his network of streaming television affiliates. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that. This was captured, I believe, on a Sony DSLR. I was not entirely sure because this is how it arrived to us, but this is what we're going to do with it. Kapow. We're going to push all the color, have a lot of fun. It's just one of those shots that there's no wrong you can do, right? Because, I mean, the girl is cut in half. I mean, how much worse could it get, right? So let's delete the tree and dive in. Skadoosh. All right, we're going to start off with a little bit of denoising just to handle the smallest little bits of potential DSLR noisy nonsense that might be happening down in the nether regions of the dark grays. Okay, gonna play with exposure with curves. I'm just gonna kick it up a pretty good bit. Put in a bypass on, I mean. Sorry about that. All right. I'm gonna get it in the ballpark with my highlights and shadows and just get it kind of where it needs to be. All right, good starting point. I'm gonna add two nodes. Start on the fourth one. I'm gonna call that saturation, and the one prior, primaries. I'm gonna go ahead and just bump saturation to 100. All right, and then I'm gonna pull it back to about 95 so that this red, I don't know if it's a vending machine or a jukebox, I don't know what that is, but I don't want it to over pop. I just want it to subtly pop. It's a technical term, you can look that up, subtly pop, coloring terms. Okay, going back to primaries, I'm gonna use my offset. I'm gonna roll it a tiny bit. I mean, just a tiny bit. I just wanna pull the whole thing just a tad cooler, and I mean a tad, like it is barely showing up in the scopes. It's more noticeable on my Flanders if I audition it off and on. Off, I just pulled a touch of greeny yellow out and made it just slightly bluer. So we're gonna leave that alone. Jump past sat. We're gonna come over here to contrast. Even though I already did a little bit of contrast work on exposure, I just wanna have another node where I can play with it a little bit more controlled apart from the prior nodes. Okay, very subtle adjustments. Here's where it's going to get fun. I'm going to create 3 nodes, spread them out so I can name them. This is going to be skin, and then we're going to have one for his jacket and one for his jeans. Oop, hit play. All right, we're going to stay on this frame. So we're going to use our illustrious 3D qualifier. We're going to grab some skin tone. And I'll probably let this be skin tone for both he and her. See if I can isolate out her shirt. Not great. Let's just do a fresh sample. Sometimes I'll hit the sample several times before I kind of find the magic sauce. Quite a bit. Add a little bit to his neck right there. Then we'll try one once again to pull out this pink on her shirt. Yeah, it's just so many shared tones in this one part. Okay, that's not terrible. It's cheek right there. Oops. Okay, we'll work with that to start with. So let's throw our color compressor on it. I want to just get this skin tone kind of tightened up in terms of the overall hue. So I think we'll use that sample. And we're going to flip our scopes to vector. Look at the skin tone indicator. For kicks, I'm going to push it up and to the left just a little bit. And we'll see where we end up once we toggle solo. So let's audition it off. Back on. Yeah, I really like it's subtle, but you can see how he's a little paler, a little bit more pale. And then when I kick it on, he warms up and just tightens up just enough. Same to her. You know, she's out of focus. She's in the background. He's talking to camera. He's about to hold up the product, and then we'll cut in tight for a wink and a smile. So I think that works. Let's leave that where it's at. Okay, let's play with our jacket. Back to 3D qualifier. Switching to parade. I just want, I don't know if this was actually gold or silver, but I'm going to make it gold because it looks cool when it's gold. And we're going to need to mask the snot out of this thing to ensure we don't color the couch gold because it's picking up all those stripes so easily. So it must be like a silver then, because I guess that's why it's identifying as these stripes as well. No big deal. We shall get it. Just auditioning on and off, or soloing on and off to see where I can sample more or not. Okay, so let's go to mask. Let's just, he's sitting still for this whole shot, so this works to do this. Something like that. Okay, going back to qualifier, I'll just clean it up a little bit. Now, let's have some fun and just roll our offset. Just screaming, honking gold. Oh yeah, let's see where we've got any kind of bleed. Okay, maybe a little back here in the chair, don't really care. And then I'm going to bump sat up to like 75, just make this thing, maybe 65. Make this thing sing, and I'm going to brighten it a little bit. There we go, just a little brighter. All right, let's audition that off. Okay, it's silver and not really doing much, and then on, it's screaming at me like, look at me, love it. Okay, jeans. Let's move to his jeans. We're not going to do a ton here. I just want to make sure we don't have really any tones down in there. I want those to be really pretty much pure black. I'm just going to sample them, get a pretty clean sample on the edge of his jeans, and then I'm going to mask out everything else. Except what I might do is actually draw, yeah, I'm going to actually mask this with because he sits still in this whole shot. Oops, I'm gonna come up on here. It's not gonna be hard to mask this out, and I might just keep the hat in there for fun. Okay, now just for kicks, we're gonna drop this to about 15% sat. Okay, immediately I like that better. So if I'll toggle it off and on, it's just got a little bit of blue down in the deep shadows, and I like that it's just a crisper, pure black right there. And I might crush it just a touch, and I mean a touch, just that much. Okay, so let's move on after this parallel mode mixer to the girl. We're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna do her shirt. And we're we're gonna do her jeans. I wanna make the jeans jamming and the shirt screaming. So we're gonna pop in our 3D qualifier once again, and we're gonna grab the shirt intentionally this time, unlike when we did skin tone. Nice. Okay, clean it up. I wonder if I can grab her head. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna grab right in here. Good gosh, it's just amazing like how everything grabs her skin tone. Looks like a ghost right there. That is super freaky. Alright, let's not fight it too much. Again, raw to render in about 10 minutes. The goal here is that you're moving from a raw shot to something you can proudly show your client. Even if it's not done, it's informative of where you're going, and that is valuable. Okay, so we've got, I don't like that. Okay, we're just gonna do that, and I'm gonna mask her. Again, she has no legs. I mean, they're cut off, so we might as well just mask her. She's not going to move in this shot. She just sits there as part of the gag. So now we're going to swing our offset here. Let's just make this thing, let's go 75% on sat. And let's just make it kind of a violet. Like it. Toggling it off and on. Now she is singing. Maybe not quite so much because I notice we're catching just a little bit of her hands. I'd love to be able to get rid of that. I think there's just too much. Yeah, it's just so close. I'd have to mask it out. So what I'll probably do is go back just a little bit. I don't think we're going to notice that too much. Still makes a big difference just bringing a little bit of extra color into it. So we'll leave it there. Let's go to her jeans. Grabbing my 3D qualifier. I just want to trace the jeans and get a nice crisp edge on them. We'll mask out everything else. Again, her legs don't move in this shot. Well, I guess they might. Can't remember if her feet wiggle or not, but that is a good question. I don't remember in the spot if she wiggles her feet. All right, let's push our blues up a little bit, and I'm going to pull some green out. Pull a little bit of, red. There we go. Touch of saturation. And then I'm just going to use, because I'm using my curves for this, I'm just going to use my contrast just to tighten up the low end on that a little bit. I've said it before, I came from an audio background, so to me curves is the visual equivalent of EQ, audio EQ, so this is the visual equivalent of that, and I just think like that. So I do use my wheels for certain things, but typically more broad brush strokes. I really like to dive in on the curves and get specific or just hit it exactly where I'm feeling it, much like I would EQ in a vocal or music or something. So that's why I use curves a lot. Okay, next we're gonna do, come down here. We're gonna do some stylistic stuff. We're gonna drop a vignette in. Square it up just a bit, feel my softness. And then I'm gonna position it. I just wanna push our eyes upward a little bit and away from the bottom left corner. And I like catching just a little bit in the top left corner and right corner. And now we're going to just soften it out. Okay, and then we'll drop global blend to about 75%. Now let's audition it, off, on, and I'm going to move it up just a little more. Okay, off, on. And I'm going to drop my blend down to about 60%. So just enough to kind of push your eye from this area upward, like that. Oh, before that, I'm going to actually drop a frame right exposure. I want to bring the exposure of the right side of the shot up before I vignette on top of that, because I just want this part of the frame where the girl is, because she's kind of part of the gag, to feel a touch brighter. Somewhere in there. Okay, off, on, and now my vignette is sitting on top of that. Okay, off, on, yeah, okay. So let's follow up our vignette with our lamps. So we have these two practical fixtures in the back, and I want to use aperture diffusion to glow them, and then we're going to isolate them with some masks. So first of all, I'm going to sample their color. I want this very, very slight yellow. I love that. And I'm going to go to 0.9 to push the colorizing is going to push 90%. The glow is 90% toward that color we've selected, maybe 85%. Okay, now I'm going to dial in global blend to about 0.4. I want to still see, if I audition it off, I want to still see the rims here. I don't want to lose the physicality of the fixture itself. I just want a little bit of love on the glow. So maybe like 0.6. I don't remember where I put this when I did this earlier today. All right, let's dial in. Boom. And I'm going to smooth that out just a little bit of ray. I really want to just smooth that out. And then I'm going to add another circle. And drop that right there. And what I want to happen is I want this glow to come across the top of his hair just a little bit. All right, so let's add another node real quick. Now you can see off, on. Just brings the shot to life, gives me a reason to have all this back here. It's a little dark in this area, but it gives me something to feel magical about, right? So we're getting toward the end here, so our lamps are in. I'm going to add our lab node. I definitely want to, I keep doing that, hitting the wrong button. I definitely want my overall lab cleanup on the bottom end. So I'm going to drop it to lab color space, and I'm going to roll down shadows right here, ever so slightly, and it just helps isolate out the darkest shadows and separates it from the warmer tones. Off, on, really cleans up around his face. I really like that. I'm actually going to jump all the way back to exposure real quick, and I'm going to punch that up just a touch. And then on skin, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put just a touch of saturation. And let's see, following lab, my final node is going to be sharpening. And we're just going to give it a skosh right there, just a skadoosh. Right. Let's see, we can make a couple more adjustments overall just to kind of really pop him. Even my frame right, I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. It just barely needs to be there. Off, just a touch. Could even drop. Ooh, you know what? I'm actually going to, okay, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to actually pull it even further down because I like how it pushes me more toward him by dimming her. So I'm going to pull that down a bit further. Let that be a little moodier. So, all right, let's, can this even clean up or is it going to fit? I don't know if it's going to fit. It fits. Okay, cool. Let's walk it through. disabling everything. We have our denoising just happened the bottom end of the darkest of darks. I don't think there's even much noise even down in here, but I just want to put a little bit. Exposure, getting it generally where I want it on the scopes. Primaries, you can see very, very subtle move over here on the scopes. I'm just pulling it a little bit off the green over to the blue. Saturation, punching it up. Contrast, tightening up everything without crushing the blacks. There's still detail here. I don't know if it translates on YouTube. It hopefully will, but there is still detail right here in these jeans. But I wanted to really tighten it up so that I get a little more, almost like a little bit of a neg fill on here just through contrast. It feels like that. Okay, now we're gonna make their skin pop. Boom. Might be a tad much, actually, now to look at it. Okay, and then his jacket, kapow, and his jeans go black. His hat, it has a little bit of blue in the deepest of dark blue, gray, black. Now it's black. Okay, her shirt, boom, just a little bit of color to help her separate from this couch. Her jeans, kapow, a little bit of blue jeans, now they're blue. Okay, frame right exposure, pulling her down just ever so slightly, just a touch. Vignette, just to sort of stylistically hone the image in a little bit. I'm actually going to move that over just a drop. Now that I see it. This is the thing about coloring, man. You get it dialed in. Oh shoot, I just screwed that up. You get it dialed in, and then you go back and you play with it. I'm actually going to kill frame right exposure. I had it earlier. I don't like it now. But this is part of the process. You adjust, you make changes, you go back, and then after you get through, when you've got your image where you like it, it's a great first pass. Your 10-minute render, your grading 10. Show the client. They're like, yeah, I love where it's going. Keep pushing it. You come back, you tweak, you tinker, you tighten up the skin a little bit, you tighten up the jeans, you tighten up the couch or the lights or the glow. And I usually have the first day and then a second day for revision and a third day for final tweaks. It's like fresh eyes twice on it. You know, come in the morning, you got fresh eyes, you haven't been staring at a screen all day, and you can make some really great progress on those fine-tuned details. So it's kind of the way I like to work, and definitely encourage you to explore it. Okay, lamps, skadoosh, that's the magic sauce. Lab, just to pull the reds out of the shadows just a little more in a really beautiful way. I love the way it feels on images. And then sharpening, and I believe that is quite possibly the most magic shot of Justin Flom that I've graded. All right, people. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Hope it was fun. Please follow us, subscribe, like, ding the bells, flip the switches. We'll see you next time on Grade in 10.